Hey guys, and thank you for joining us for the live Intact demo hosted by Vision 33. I am going to go ahead and kick off today's session. Introductions. For those of you who do know me, my name is Michael Toporek. I am your Sage Intacct sales consultant. Usually we have Matthew Frampton with us today. He is our certified Sage Intacct implementation consultant. Today we have a fill-in. We have Hamza. Hamza, thank you for filling in. He will introduce himself in a bit, just so everybody understands the agenda for today. Quick overview, 5 minutes from me, and then it's going to be 40 minutes from Hamza, and we are going to save some time at the end for your questions. Before we move to the demonstration, wanted to just share a little bit of information about Vision 33. Selecting the right software is important, but the right partner is a difference maker for your business. So I am sure everyone on this call has done some research on Sage Intacct and understand it's a great product. Here at Vision 33, we do absolutely agree. But Sage Intacct without Vision 33 is just not the same. Vision 33 is the key to unlocking the true value of Intacct. And I do want to mention some things that Vision 33 brings to the table. That's extensive support, industry experience, long-term partnerships, and we do focus on service excellence. We have many long-time customers who rely on our partnership to support their business and keep them going day by day. Ultimately, it's our consistency, reliability, and focus on excellent customer experiences to help you get the results that you need. And when we talk about results, we're driven by your outcomes. So our team is focused on understanding your organizational goals and implementing the strong financial core in Sage Intacct. Now, many good partners, they will stop there. At Vision 33, we will go the extra mile with you. This is through our skilled consultants, industry knowledge, and our focus on the right analytics and intelligent automation and integrations. So you can effectively run with your preferred tools in a seamless, best of breed environment, and more to come on that phrase in a bit. Here are some of our current customers running Sage Intacct. They come from all over the spectrum, non-for-profit, SaaS and tech, professional services, education, healthcare, franchising, energy, you name it. Why they chose Vision 33? We help them realize their vision for the future. Again, most of you have done your initial research on Sage Intacct, but I did want to point out a few items. Global reach, top company, recognized as a brand and a market leader. Sage Intacct is the ideal solution for growing businesses. Intacct is an all-around native cloud-based platform. Sage Intacct has built-in solutions tailored specifically for your industry. So I want you to view this slide as an introduction on what you're going to be seeing today in the demonstration in detail. And now you're going to be hearing two terms tossed around often. That's best in class and best of breed. We recognize that we are the best core financial and accounting solution, but there are other software that are the best at what they do. So we allow a seamless integration with those mission critical applications, for example, Salesforce, ADP, which is really the opposite approach from other vendors in the marketplace who believe that they have all of the best solutions under one umbrella for your organization, which is just likely untrue. And we refer to that as best of breed. Now we have a full marketplace filled with pre-built integrations that give you the capability of automating your workflows and eliminating a lot of the error-prone processes that may exist at your organization. These are some of the key verticals for Sage Intacct globally. We operate in all of these. Our biggest footprint is the non-for-profit space, where we have approximately 40% of our client base. Our expertise in these verticals really do help us guide our customers down the right path with their implementation, including various implementation types based on your needs. So with our vertical expertise, we are able to offer quick start and rapid implementations with pre-built reports and dashboards for your industry and sector because we have seen it all. Global reach, local focus. This applies to Sage and Vision 33. We are one of the only global partners for Sage operating out of the US, the UK, and Canada. And for those of you who are interested in the underlying numbers, Sage Intacct is as secure as it gets. You never have to worry about backups, downtime, costly upgrades. It just works all the time. It runs on AWS servers and is encrypted at the highest level. Saltbox is Vision 33's born in the cloud IPaaS solution integration platform as a service. Our Saltbox platform simplifies integrations and workflows with your current applications and business processes, enabling you to do more with Sage Intacct. This is how you can fully leverage the power of the best of breed model for your organization. So if there is ever an integration that you may want established and that does not exist on the Sage marketplace, we can build it via Saltbox. So all you will have to do is just contact us here at Vision 33. Now, at this point, I'm going to transition over to Hamza, and he's going to walk us through our demonstration.
Awesome. That should be us good to go there. Brilliant. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. So as Michael mentioned, I'm going to be taking you guys through a little bit of a Sage Intacct demonstration this afternoon. I'm going to be going through a few of the different areas we've got in the system, some of the core financials, some more of the advanced modules that we've got in the system. And I'm going to start us off here at a Sage Intacct dashboard. Now, Sage Intacct is renowned for its incredible reporting and dashboard capabilities. And the one I'm going to start us off on here in my environment, this environment, by the way, is a multi-entity, multi-shared environment, which means that I have entities all around the globe there, including the UK, US, Canada, South Africa, etc. And they're all in the same environment. So I can log in with one username and password, and I can access all of my different entities across the globe and report on them individually, as well as being able to report on them at a consolidated level. So this dashboard that we're looking at here, this is something that could be sort of deployed to a CEO or a CFO of a company. And it shows a consolidated view of all of my different entities in the same currency. So the currency I've chosen in this situation is dollars. And straight away across the top there, we have a nice graph which shows us our company performance. So we can see things like our revenue, total costs, net income across a certain period. This is a 12-month period, so 1 year. And of course, everything you see on this dashboard is drillable as well. So if your CEO or CFO wanted to come onto here and see, oh, hang on a second, it looks like we had a little bit of a dip in revenue at this point in the year, they could actually click onto that figure right on the graph there. And that would pull out the report that makes up that figure. So it pop out into a different page. I'll bring it over here. Awesome. And we can actually see this is the breakdown of what makes up that specific point on the graph. And again, you could drill further into this as well. So you could carry on drilling through. I could drill into this figure here, and it would pop out with the report that makes up that number. And you could continue drilling all the way through to the originating journal entries or transactions that make up that number. So really, really nice and friendly user interface, nice and easy to use, and really easy to drill through and inquire on the figures that you're seeing on these pages. Now, this is a real good example of how comprehensive you could be with a dashboard. And you can see I've got things like revenue, labor costs, operating expenses. We also have, and this is where I introduced to you the concept of dimensions. So you might already be familiar with dimensions and how they work, or this might be a brand new concept to you. Either way, Sage Intacct brings those dimensions into focus, and it really emphasizes how powerful they can be in a system like this. So here, for example, we have a graph, and this shows me my revenue by location all on the same graph there in a really nice and easy to view bar chart. So here we can see the USA 1 is doing really well, whereas the UK is doing okay as well, but USA 2 isn't doing that great. Similarly, over on the right-hand side here, if you have a look, we've got an operating expense by department. Now, department is another dimension that you have available in Intacct, and it's one of many dimensions that you get included in your package, which again, they increase as you add on additional modules in the system. And Sage Intacct is a modular system, which means you can just bolt on different modules, again, just like Michael said earlier, to your environment and just expand the system as your company expands as well. So back to this graph here, this shows us our operating expense by department. And these departments are departments that I've set for my environment, although they're completely customizable and configurable to your environment and to your company and your specific vertical. So if you're an NFP and you do fund accounting, like restricted funds and grants and things like that, you can utilize these dimensions in the system to work with those. But what it essentially means is when you're transacting in the system, you're able to categorize your specific transactions into buckets within the system, which you can then later report on again at that bucket level. And that gives you that really fine granular reporting that you're probably lacking in your current system. And similarly, everything is drillable. So if I wanted to have a look at this graph and saw it looks like admin are spending a lot of money in the current period, I could click on that little part of the pie chart. That would pull that part of the pie chart out and would be able to do an interrogation on what is actually going on in there. So it shows me my profit and loss, but it shows me it filtered by the admin department. We could run through this and have a look and see where all our money is going if we think it's a bit too high. So again, everything is drillable on here as well. Okay, now we are going to go more into dimensions shortly, but we'll come on to those in a short while. Okie doke. So continuing on with my dashboard, again, we've got really, really good high-level KPIs, which a CEO or CFO might be interested in, like EBITDAs and waterfalls on your G&A and your net income, etc., etc. So there's a whole bunch of stuff on this dashboard. Now, dashboards aren't just necessarily restricted to CEOs or CFOs. They are, again, completely customizable. So I've got loads of dashboards set up in this environment, as you can see here. Another one that I do like to show is this one here. So I'm going to be working predominantly in the United Kingdom entity today because I'm based in the United Kingdom, as you might be able to tell. So I'll work in this one. And another dashboard that I've got here is this accounts receivable dashboard. Now, this one might be useful for an accounts receivable clerk. You could similarly make one for an accounts payable clerk or someone who works in the cash management area or someone who works in your contracts department or someone who works in a different area of the system. Again, you can customize these and make as many as you need to sort of heart's content there. And this one gives us our AR balance, our disputed amount, various other bits and bobs that you might be interested in seeing as an accounts receivable clerk. All of these dashboards are real time, meaning as people are doing transactions in the system, this dashboard will auto update to reflect what's going on in there. So it's always live, it's always accurate. And you can also do a couple of cool bits like have these custom navigation elements where you can have this as your home page and you can actually navigate into doing various tasks within Sage Intacct directly from this dashboard as soon as you log in there in the morning. Okie dokie. So hopefully that's all making sense so far. Now I'm going to jump into a transaction. So just to give you guys a little bit of an indication on how dimensions work. So for this, we're going to go over to accounts receivable and we're going to go ahead and raise a brand new accounts receivable sales invoice. Now, this is a invoice entry screen, nothing too strenuous. It should be something relatively understandable and something you've seen before. And we're going to go ahead and raise a brand new sales invoice. Now, typically what you would do is select your customer, select your date, put in a term. So we'll go with due upon receipt, select your currency. Of course, Intacct is multi-currency enabled. So if you want, you can opt for that module and you can transact in any currency in the world. There's really no upper restriction on that. I will keep it nice and simple today and transact in my local currency, which is GBP. Then it would just be a case of selecting your GL code or your nominal code, however you sort of prefer to call it. So I'm going to go with revenue services. Then you could type in a memo or we'll jump over to transaction amounts. I'm going to go with £1,000 in this case. And here is where your dimensions come into play. So typically you would pop your GL code in, pop your amount, and then hit post, and that's your invoice posted. But what you can now do is actually categorize this transaction into a very specific bucket in the company. So I could say this falls into department services and it falls into project contingency planning and it falls into, here's all my different dimensions, a certain supplier or a certain employee or a certain warehouse or contract or task. Again, really high level example of the dimensions that are available. Real specific examples can be given to you upon request. So do touch base with Michael after the call. I'm sure he'll touch base with you and you can find out more about what dimensions would be available to you based on your module list. But here I've got various different ones available. So I'm going to keep it nice and simple. We're going to go with the services department. We're not going to select the project and we're going to select location. So what I'm actually doing here is saying that not only is this part of the revenue services GL code, but it falls into the services bucket and I can later report on that bucket to get a really detailed overview as to where that revenue falls within my company. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and post this invoice in. And we're going to pivot slightly back over to the report center. So here's my report center here. And as part of your Intacct subscription, you get a whole reporting center, as well as two financial report writers in the system, which again, you'd be given full training on as part of your implementation process with us at Vision 33. So we'll take you through how to use those, how to edit reports, how to create your own reports, and you'd be fully self-sufficient on that. But to start you off, you get a whole bunch of reports already in the system. And we've already gone the extra mile and expanded those reports out by the various dimensions that you have in the system. So as an example, you've got a P&L in there, so a P&L detail, various P&L details, but we've taken those P&L details and we've expanded them out by department, by location, by class, by customer, by employee. So straight out of the box, you're able to do that granular level of reporting that we're talking about. So if I was to run a profit and loss, let's go with the profit and loss summary to begin with. And I'm just going to run it like this. So here, once this comes up, this is a typical P&L. Again, it's in summary fashion, so it's a bit condensed down, although we can see what we're looking at here, which is we've got a column that shows us our month ending, a column shows us our quarter ending, and a column shows us our year ending. So relatively good P&L, nothing too strenuous there, nice and easy. But where we take this into the next sort of level is when we start to expand them out by these different dimensions that we've got. So if I was to run a P&L by department and hit OK on this one, what it's going to show me is the same P&L, but this time it's showing me month ending department by department across the board there. So now I have a really, really good holistic view of all of my different departments within my company, and I can see a specific breakdown of income and expenditure within each department. And that in itself is an incredibly powerful tool to be able to do at the click of a button, just like I have done that. Now, this is great. One thing I want to show you guys is how to chop and change these reports so you can see how easy that is too. So this profit and loss by department shows us month ending. What I want to do is I want to see the full year for each department instead. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to jump up to the top level here and head over to my report center. And what we'll do is we will grab our profit and loss by department, the same report we've just run. Here it is here. And we'll click edit. And I don't want to change my original report. So what I'll do is I will just duplicate this one and we will call it profit and loss by department. We'll just add on current year. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and create that report there, and that's that report duplicated. So we'll give that a second to load up. Awesome. So here's my new report there, which I can favorite using this little heart, and that appears up here. Then what we'll do is we'll edit this report, and real simply, I'm going to head over to columns. And at the moment, this is looking at current month and expanding by department. What I'm going to do instead is say, I want you to look at the current year. Okay, hit save and done. Brilliant. And now when I go ahead and run my new report, okay, we'll run this for our United Kingdom location. What we'll be able to see instead is the same report, but this time it's for year ending instead of current month. If I wanted to go the extra mile, I could actually have a 12-month, month-on-month comparison, again, just by using those different columns in there and just adding additional columns, just like you guys have seen me do. But it's so simple and easy to chop and change these reports. And just with a couple of clicks, you're able to make a completely different report, which if I wanted to, I could actually set to auto run and send out from the system on its own. So I could actually click more actions and edit schedule. And I can set up a schedule here where I basically tell the system, I want you to go in here at let's start with the 31st of January. And I want you to end never every month. I want you to, every 1 month, at the end of the month, I want you to run this report for my United Kingdom location. And I want you to email it to so-and-so person. And you can actually have as many email addresses as you want in here. If email doesn't work for you, you can choose to store it in Intacct itself, where people can access it in there. Or even better, if you're using Microsoft 365 or Google Drive or anything along those lines, you can choose to store this in your cloud locations. So Intacct can run these reports and actually go ahead and put it in your 365 shared drive so everybody can go in there and just access them without even having to go into Sage Intacct, which again is life-changing stuff if it comes to month-end reporting. Okie dokie. Awesome. So we're going to pivot from there back over to our United Kingdom entity here, and I'm going to jump back over into accounts receivable. Now, another thing I want to show you guys is one of the more advanced modules that we have available in Sage Intacct, which a lot of companies are using these days. and it is called revenue management. Now, typically, you might know this as deferred revenue or recognizing revenue or something along those lines. But essentially, the concept is that if you receive some revenue, you defer that revenue and slowly release it over the course of, let's say, 12 months into your revenue accounts in order to have your P&L look a lot more balanced, and various different reasons as to why people might want to do that. But typically, how that works is you manage it in Excel, and every month you go in and do a journal for all your revenue recognition into your revenue accounts, and that's it done. And that can be really time consuming at month end. So, what Intacct looks to do is alleviate that with the revenue recognition module. So, how it works is we're going to go ahead and set up a brand new invoice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this button here that says populate from last invoice. And Intacct will recall the last invoice available for Hamza Stationery Shop. So we'll press that, and it will bring in everything that we had on the last invoice. So you can see it's brought on my services department, it's brought on my GL code and my amount. Amazing, right? So again, really good if you're doing sort of repeat invoices every month. Nice and easy to do that. But before I hit post on this, what I'm going to do is down in the line here, I am going to, in this section, select a revenue recognition template. So I'm going to say, I want you to defer this and then recognize it or slowly release it over the course of 12 months. So we're going to go straight line 12 months. The deferred revenue account, my deferred revenue account is here. I'm going to select that. I want you to start doing it on the 31st of January. And I don't need to put an end date in. The system will calculate that for me based on the start date and the template there, 12 months. And we'll go ahead and post that. Awesome. So now that that's posted in, we'll give it a sec. We can actually jump back into it, and we're able to scroll down here. If we look at the line, we now have this view schedule button. So if I click on this, I will be able to see that the system has generated, it's taken that £1,000, it's put it into my deferred revenue account instead of the revenue code, and it has generated a schedule where for 12 months, month on month, it is going to journal in automatically for me £83.34 for the first few months and 33 for the rest into my relevant revenue code. Okie dokie. And it's going to do that automatically for me. I don't have to think about this ever again. I don't have to touch it again. That's it done. You just set it up and leave it, and it's sort of set and forget mentality. And this will just stop on its own once it's done 12 equal postings. And again, if you're currently doing deferred revenue stuff in your finance system, or if you're using Excel, you'll know how life-changing this can be. Okay. Of course, you can put your schedules on hold, you can terminate them, you can edit them if you wish, it's completely up to you. Various different options up at the top there. But other than that, you can leave it and it will crack on and start doing those postings for us. Okie dokie. Brilliant. Now, let's look at the flip side of this coin, which is accounts payable and purchasing. Now, rather than just showing you accounts payable, which is literally the mirror image of accounts receivable, I'm going to show you guys a purchasing workflow over here. Now, again, bear with me here because this is a test system. So I do have a lot of workflows built in here, but we're going to go through a nice, easy to understand purchase order workflow. Now, you might currently already have a purchase order system in your company, or you might be looking to add one in. Now, the good thing about Intacct is we can build a bespoke purchase order system for you with your approvals in there, just exactly how you want it to work in your company. So, for example, if you wanted to go from purchase requisition and then have some approvals, they can be multi-layered, they can be multi-tiered, they can be value-based, location-based, department-based, etc., etc. There's various different ones in there that we can set up for you. We can have those occur. From there, your requisition can go into, as you can see, various different types of purchase orders, but we'll keep it simple. We're going to go down to a normal purchase order. From there, we can fulfill the purchase order. So we can see, yes, we received the items. And then from there, we can convert it to a vendor invoice, or a supplier invoice is what we call it where I'm from. But regardless, we'll go with vendor invoice for today. From that vendor invoice, if you need to return something, you can, or also if you want to debit or if you want to credit that purchase, you can as well. Okie dokie. Now, that is a very simple example of a purchase order system, but you can see that, again, it's completely bespoke, and I've made various different workflows within this one environment, and I can actually have them working concurrently, so they can all be running at the same time. So if you want 5 different workflows in your company, and they can be available or restricted or locked down to various different people within the company, absolutely fine to do that. We can definitely set that up in Sage Intacct and restrict those down to various people within the company. So you have a really nice break between all of your different types of requisitions and purchase orders and things like that. Okie dokie. So we'll work through an example of a nice and easy one. And I'm going to jump over into purchase requisition to begin with. Now, here's one I did earlier. This is a purchase requisition that I raised for a new laptop. Okay. So I raised it, I selected my supplier, I selected my payment terms, I added my attachment, which again, you can just drag and drop stuff straight onto the screen here. And if I click on this little paperclip, it would show me what the attachment is. So you can see that it says view attachment. Intacct has a built-in PDF reader. So if it was a PDF file, it would just appear here on the right-hand side. This attachment I know is an Excel document. So what it would do is download that file for you to view. So I'm not going to go ahead and do that. But if you wanted to, you could do that there. Okay. And again, down here in the entries, I've selected my item, my department, the quantity of laptops that I want, and how much the laptop is at point of requisition. What then happened was, because of my approval matrix in the system, this purchase requisition went off for some approvals. So I have a 2-layer approval set up in here, but you guys can set up as many layers as you'd like in Intacct, and that's absolutely fine to do. I've seen companies set up 3, 4, 5, up to 10 layers of approval. And again, it can be based on various thresholds or departments, or if you need a CEO approval, if it's over a certain value, again, absolutely fine to set up. So we can definitely do that. But in my company, I had it nice and simple where I had a user level approval. So Emma needed to approve this, which she did. And then after that, because it was over a certain value, it went over to my value approvers and they went ahead and approved this as well. Okie doke. Once that requisition was approved and all good to go, I, of course, got email notifications straight from the system, all automated. And usually what happens here, you get a convert button. You can convert that requisition to a purchase order. So I went ahead and converted my requisition to a purchase order. And what the system will do to keep your life nice and easy is it will copy everything over from the requisition, all the details, all the attachments, all the line item information, and it will give you a link to the originating purchase requisition, which we can see here. Okay, so we can see, we can actually click on that and that would show us the original transaction that was raised. And of course, everything has an audit trail, which you can see down in the history area here. So we'll be able to see who raised it, when they raised it, etc., etc. So on my purchase order, I didn't have any approvals set up or I didn't need any approvals, so it was good to go. I went ahead and posted this and straight from the system, I can press print or email and email this directly out to the supplier from the system and the supplier can then go ahead and fulfill my order. Okie dokie. One thing that I do like to mention as well, it's a question that we do sometimes get is thresholds or change or tolerance matching there. So for example, if when the requisition was posted, it was posted for £1,000, but when the order is placed, the laptop is now, let's say, £1,500. If the value of the PO is different for a certain amount, then we can actually have the system send the PO for a reapproval. And again, those thresholds can be set by you. So you can set them based on a value or based on a percentage. We could say if it's more than 10% variant from the requisition, it requires a reapproval. Or we could say if it's over £300 or $300 from the requisition, we can send it for a reapproval. So again, another feature there that you can implement in the system. Okay, doke. So my purchase order was then fulfilled. I actually jumped over the fulfillment area and I went straight over to vendor invoice. And again, system copied everything over for me and it gave me a nice link to my purchase order, which we can see here. Okay, doke. Brought over the attachment, and the only thing different, which we have to do in the UK, I'm sure you guys have to do that as well in the US or Canada or wherever you're based, is attach tax schedule. So I did that. I added my 20% UK VAT on there, and then I went ahead and posted that. And that invoice is now ready for me to pay. Okie doke. So that is an end-to-end workflow of a real nice, simple purchase order system with approvals within Sage Intacct. Okie dokie, cool. So pivoting from there, moving on slightly, and we're going to head back up to the top level for this next area. We are going to look at another advanced module which you can bolt onto your Intacct environment, which is consolidation. Now, consolidation is, again, if you are currently doing this, if you're a multi-entity environment working across the globe, working across multiple entities, this is probably a really, really big module and something you'd be quite interested in having. If you're working locally, just in dollars or just in another currency, any currency in the world, doesn't matter. You can have domestic consolidations, which is, again, consolidations, but at a domestic level. I have global consolidation set up in here. And within this, I've set up a handful of different books which all consolidate into a certain currency. So if we look at my global location book here, what I've basically said in this book is that I want you to take all of my entities and I want you to consolidate them into USD. Translation method for my balance sheet accounts, you can use the ending spot rate, and the income statement accounts use the weighted average rate. Now, a question we get about the rates is where they come from. Intacct uses something called the Intacct Daily Rate, which is pulled from oanda.com, very reputable exchange rate website. And we use direct currency pairs with oanda.com to get those rates live into Intacct. Any currency exchange gain or loss is going to be posted into these two GL codes here, which is great. And then over on my entities to consolidate, I've selected all the entities that I want to consolidate, which I've went ahead and selected all of them. Now, a really, really powerful aspect of this, and it's potentially life-changing if you are doing consolidations at the moment, is this element here, which is inter-entity auto-elimination. Now, if you're doing consolidations in Excel or on offline or in another system, you'll know how much of a nightmare inter-entity transactions can be, and especially eliminating those and figuring out the due to and due from and all this sort of stuff and making sure that is properly expelled from your final month-end consolidate P&Ls and balance sheets, etc. But Intacct is going to manage the entire thing for you. So you just flick this on, and then what Intacct will do is go through all of your transactions, find any inter-entity transactions which it knows are intercompany transactions, and it will eliminate them for you into this GL code here, which is amazing. And again, it's going to pick up all of your due to and due from GL codes in the system. So all the inter-entity transactions that have happened, and it's going to eliminate those for you. You can actually go the extra mile as well and add additional GL codes to be eliminated. So I've added my intercompany receivables and intercompany payables GL codes in there, and they are also going to be auto-eliminated for us. All right. Now, running consolidation is real easy. You go into run consolidation. You select the month you want to consolidate. So we'll go ahead, I've consolidated everything, but I can reconsolidate something. So I could say, right, reconsolidate December 2025, hit consolidate. It's going to let you know, it's going to send you an email. Once it's done, press OK, and that's it. You need to just let it run through, and it should just take a few minutes, after which you'll get an email to let you know it's all done. We don't need to wait for that. We can go ahead and run some reports now. So I'm going to head over to my report center, and the good thing is you can run any report in the system at a consolidated level. So I can just pick any report here random. Let's go ahead and run our new one that we created earlier, this one here. So I could say, right, let's run this report. And just on the fly, you are able to change the reporting method that this report looks at or uses. Okay, doke. So I can actually say, right, instead of using the accrual book, I want you to look at the global location book. And let's go ahead and view that. And what the system will do is now show me a consolidated profit and loss in the currency I chose, which was USD. And again, this P&L was by department, so it's going to show me it by department. So these figures are all of my entities consolidated together in USD, again, department by department across the board there, which again is incredibly powerful stuff. And it's just a few clicks. It's taken me no time at all to get to this point. I've done it on the call with you guys. So again, very, very powerful stuff. Okay, and again, you could set these to be ran and auto sent out as well if you'd like. You can set your consolidations to be auto completed too. You can set a schedule on those. So everything can just be happening in the background. And really, it's just quite a hands-off for you guys. All right. Now, another real good point that we're going to move on to, which again is quite hands-off and on the topic of hands-off, is cash management. Now, cash management, bank recs, things like that can be a huge pain when it comes to month-end reporting and doing your month-end processes. So what Intacct looks to do is alleviate all of those things for you. Alrighty, so what we've got in the system is a traditional bank reconciliation feature with a bank feed, of course. So I'm going to show you that first. And I don't have a real feed connected into this demo system, of course, because it's a demo system. But I do have a dummy feed connected, which simulates what a feed would look like. So again, real simple. This is our reconciliation screen. You get two tabs. You get your Intacct tab and your bank tab. The bank tab reflects a real feed coming through from your real life bank account into Sage Intacct. Again, not a new concept, something you guys are probably already familiar with. So we can connect to any bank in the world. There's really no upper limit. Intacct has loads of native connections. And again, The marketplace that Michael mentioned earlier in his presentation has loads of partners on there who can facilitate and support in areas that they are proficient in. Okie dokie. But real simple. You see all your transactions coming in. So we can see we've got one here from, let's go with Yellow Hammer, $20,000 in this case it was. We can click match. That will show me all my transactions on the Sage Intacct side. I can find the corresponding one, which is this one here, Yellow Hammer. Select it, make sure the remaining to match is 0, and then go ahead and hit match. That will take it off the list and that will reconcile it at the same time. Okay, real easy concept. Now, what Sage Intacct looks to do, because that is very monotonous work, it's very basic stuff, and we don't want to be wasting time doing that sort of stuff. Okay, so what Intacct can do is we can set up a whole bunch of reconciliation rules within the system to do all of that for us. Okay, now, usually what we do is we set up a nice simple one to begin with, and then you guys can expand into these, and with our help, we can build some really nice advanced comprehensive ones. But here's one that I set up earlier. And this one, all it does is real simple. It is going to look at all of your bank transactions coming in from your bank. And when it sees a transaction where the posting date, the amount, and the document number matches something in Intacct, it will match those two things together. Okay, doke. And again, that is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you when it comes to bank reconciliations. So theoretically, by the time you get into your bank reconciliation at the end of the month, everything's already matched. All you've got to do is review everything. So you would go into state matched and hit apply. You would see everything that the system has matched for us. And you would say, yes, I'm happy with that. You would go ahead and hit reconcile, and that's your bank reconciliation done. Okie doke. Again, life-changing stuff, super fast, real easy, all happening in the background, and it makes your life a lot simpler when it comes to month-end stuff. Okie dokie. Happy days. All right. So that was pretty much everything I had on my agenda today. I will open the floor up to questions and hand back over to Michael to facilitate any of the questions that come through.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hamza. If nothing does come in, well, I do promise a sales consultant will follow up with you to answer any of your questions if you wanted to have a discussion one-on-one with them. Perfect. Well, it doesn't look like any questions are coming in now. That means you checked off all the boxes and nobody has anything left unturned. But yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us for today's live Intacct demonstration. We will speak with you soon.